So, the day I'm making this extremely short video, I just woke up like any other day, was doing my thing, and after some time I was like, let's just check the internet if anything interesting happened, and immediately I was stunlocked by what whoever's posted on their official sites, and that stunlock continued for like an hour before I finally realized what was happening. No disclaimers here, you already know that this is going to be a speculation video, since this info just came out as I'm making this video. Well, maybe some of you remember how in my last video I said that it would be very funny if there is any new info about Not Cry in the upcoming few weeks, since that would make it real outdated real fast. I think I actually jinxed it. Not even 2 days later and they dropped this crazy new lore about the 3 Moon sisters and even connect them to Not Cry and the Welkin Moon. It's actually crazy. You can't do this to me, however. Anyway, up to this point, we've only seen 3 moons in Genshin as far as I can remember. The first one is the regular moon, nothing special there, but then there is the abyssal moon in the spiral abyss, which implies the fact that the sky is fake, since a moon and a sky make no sense underground, at least not normally, but in Genshin they probably do. It also supports the theory about Tevat being originally upside down. Then the third moon can be seen in the game world yet, but we've seen it in multiple cutscenes, and it's the Crimson Moon that was worshipped in the first Khanian dynasty. It was also present during the Cataclysm, and it has some deep connections to Raiden A and Arlecchino. Then there are also the ancient moon fragments in the sky above Natlan, but we know next to nothing about these. The in-game sources often talk about the 3 moon sisters, Arya, Sonnet and Canon, who lived a very long time ago happily together, but then some sort of cataclysm happened and they eventually died, leaving only one pale corpse in the night sky, which is the moon we know these days in Genshin. But now that we have established all this, let's get to the new stuff. Well, there were 2 short videos on Genshin's YouTube channel and a web event that they are from. First, the event is literally called the Song of the Welkin Moon, which may be important later. When you actually start the web event, it talks about the Trinity of the Moon Goddesses, which apparently can be translated to the Welkin Moon in other versions of this event in different languages. So the goddesses who once steered the primordial celestial sphere and wove love and passion into the very heart of the world have long since faded into the shadows of time. This basically goes back to what we already know about the Moon Sisters and how they once lived happily in their palace in the sky, but eventually perished and now they are almost forgotten thanks to the passage of time. Yet those who follow the tides still sing and pray, for a new moon is set to rise. This line is absolutely crazy and I don't know how literally we are supposed to take it, because those who still sing and pray most likely refers to the Frost Moon Scions that we know live in Not Cry and supposedly still worship some sort of moon deity, which is also supported by all the moon deity statues that are supposed to be there. But the Frost Moon Scions actually are not the only ones who sang songs to the moon, because if you still remember the ancient murals on Surmi Island, there are multiple texts that talk about the moon and they can be translated roughly to the watch of the sky is fake. Let us boys and girls sing to the moons. Or for example, we boys and girls are under the protection of the moons. But a new moon is set to rise. The first thing that comes to mind is how Dainsleif in his drip marketing said that the Crimson Moon will follow the eclipse, aka the Dark Sun, which was the thing that was worshipped in the second Khanian dynasty. The future must atone for the bygone mistakes. Could the new moon be connected to the Crimson Moon somehow? Well, I actually think it's more likely that the new moon is what is later shown in this event. Anyway, then it continues. When the eternal moon fell, the heavens and earth were thrown into chaos. The word eternity obviously reminds me of Raiden Shogun, and by extension Istarov, the shade of time as well. But at this point, it's hard to tell exactly what it means. When the iridescent moon shattered, the crimson shadow sank into the abyssal sea. This could actually refer to the Crimson Moon, since I don't really remember the game mentioning the iridescent moon before, but it's possible that the iridescent moon was somehow corrupted thanks to the Cataclysm, and then it sank into the abyss and became the Crimson Moon that was worshipped by the Khanians. The word Crimson Shadow just seems too important to ignore. Also, the animation shows the moon in the crimson color for a bit as well. When the Frost Moon ceased to turn, nations faltered and fell into ruin. Well, this has to refer to the moon deity worshipped in Not Cry by the Frost Moon Scions, so this implies that there was some sort of ancient nation located there, but it fell into ruin after the fall of the Frost Moon. Maybe that's what actually caused the supposed eternal winter that's maybe happening in Snezhnaya, because the moon is called the Frost Moon. As of yet, I have no clue which moon could be which moon sister, so you can probably try to decide for yourself which moon fits the name Arya, Sonnet or Canon the best. The world, no longer sheltered by eternity, marches towards its final breath, yet from the ashes, the new moon rises, its ascent spinning the wheel of fate anew, and then it shows us someone, some girl, sitting in front of the moon, that appears a bit shattered, maybe referring to the fragments in the sky above Natlan. Anyway, eternity gets mentioned again, and this time it really seems like a reference to Raiden A and her ideals, or rather her ideals may be a reference to his moon sister. It reminds me of a theory that connects the moon sisters to the 4 shades of the primordial one, but I'm not sure it makes much sense now, since we know at least of 3 shades that should be alive at this moment, and the moon sisters are supposed to be dead, unless there is something we don't know about happening. But from the ashes the new moon rises and spins the wheel of fate. This could mean that whoever this little lady sitting in front of the moon is, could be the new moon, and she could have some sort of control over the fate of Teyvat. Maybe also have something to do with the fake skies, since the fate in Teyvat is connected to the stars and constellations in the sky. Also again, there is a reference to the wheel of fate that weaves the threads of fate, right? Like the loom of fate perhaps, but that's probably just a stretch. Anyway, then the most unexpected thing for me happened and we saw the full Genshin solar system, or rather whatever system Teyvat is in right now, since I don't know, I don't see the sun. Also I have no clue what the planets and the moon here are orbiting, because as I said there is no sun in the middle. But considering the symbolism, the big thing there could be the 3 moons, more so than Teyvat, and if it indeed symbolizes the moon, then Teyvat would be in the middle of this picture. But I'm actually not so sure about that. The mirrors on Tsurumi that show this same picture indicate that it can't be Teyvat, because it wouldn't make much sense, but it could also represent the sun, which would make some sense. Anyway, the whole picture looks like a huge sky glass, similar to the ones Mona uses with her divinations. Then it says, people of the moonlit world, please await the turning of the moon, for it will bring new revelations. I think that this line actually probably doesn't have that much importance lore-wise, since this could also just be a hint for the new big Genshin reveal, since in a few days there will apparently be a full moon, so maybe they will reveal some big news for us, maybe in the 5.5 livestream that's in a few days. So if I'm correct, the prophesized new moon should be the Welkin Moon that you can see in the in-game shop right now. All the symbolism in the icons and the picture and even in the lore imply this to be the case. The lady in front of the moon would be the Welkin Moon lady, which we can see in the shop, and the web event is literally called the Song of the Welkin Moon. So when the song prophesizes a new moon to rise, it would make a ton of sense for this new moon to be the Welkin Moon. Anyway, another big thing is that when you take the darkened image and increase the brightness to the maximum, the map that seems to be not Cry reveals itself. It looks pretty cool, but that's pretty much all I can say about it at this point, so I digress. Anyway, this was all I could gather right now, because all of this just released and I'm glad I even managed to remember the stuff about Tsurumi Island and such. So this is all I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed the video, so take care and I'll see you in the next one.